Who exactly in Caracas is Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago Kamla Persad-Bissessere going to speak with? Who exactly in Caracas do you intend to speak with? Nicolas Maduro? Delcy Rodriguez? Who exactly in Caracas do you intend to speak with? Somebody tell me, please. Do you think that when Dr. Keith Rowley was the Prime Minister of Trinidad, that he didn't understand that the Americans hated Maduro and they wanted him out of office? You don't think he knew that? Explain it to me. Rowley knew that the Americans wanted Maduro out of office. What Rowley also knew was that when you're a leader, you lead from the front. Nobody must be behind pushing you. You don't think that President Ali of Guyana knows that the Americans want Maduro out of Caracas and out of office? He knows that. But one of the things that he does not do is try to foment tensions with Venezuela. He was in St. Vincent for a meeting, shaking Maduro's hand, exchanging gifts. That is what he was doing. Peace, dialogue, that's what he was calling for. I find it very strange that the second-time Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessere, does not understand all of these simple things. Who is she going to talk to in Caracas? She has taken the side of America, war of her administration has fomented tensions against Venezuela. She doesn't mind America blowing people the hell out the water in the South Caribbean Sea, which is illegal according to their own constitution.
Had to make it clear how Jerusalem, your land, your people came from Europe. That was 1947. Your menorah got 9 sticks. It's really only 7. Yeah, it's us against the world. Armageddon. This what happened when you inherit lies from your ancestors. Y'all the synagogue of Satan with them black hats. Your whole nation sitting ducks, Aflacs, bunch of thieves and culture vultures ain't nothing kosher. To tell the truth, you vagabonds don't have a culture. Macedonia, Alexander and Philip, you a convert, so tell me, how the fuck is you Israel? That don't make you the people just cause you live there. Why my people can't hate your people like y'all hate Hitler? All the prophets was black and was called nigga. Y'all don't even fit the description that's in the scriptures. Abraham, all the way down to Jacob, we the real Jews. Y'all don't study Christ, y'all follow the Talmud. Keep it real, yeah, let's keep it real. Cold hard truth, it give you chills. Say y'all Jewish cause y'all ain't really them. About to do them like Hammond, this the Feast of Purim. You BK undefeated, this an easy win. We was born fighting, y'all the evil twin. Jacob took hold of his heel, then out came his little red bass and they kosher deals. It's only 12 tribes, y'all trying to make it 13. Esau despised his birthright, the Lord cursed him. He ain't the devil who is, I'm still searching. Ask your rabbi why he give them babies herpes. I don't know what's worse, that or you claiming that you a Maccabee. I'm about to cancel, everybody try to cancel ye. I ain't afraid to speak, that's what I do. They rotten to the core, I'm just judging them by their fruit. Cause they ain't suffering curses. If I was carnal, I promise I'll punch you in person. I know that's an uncomfortable subject. They making millions off our culture and black people suffering from it. Yeah, they don't believe in Christ. They the Antichrist. Make a living off of niggas. They're a parasite. I ain't afraid to tell the truth. Niggas terrified. I'm about to go DEFCON 4. I ain't satisfied.
That is proof. That is absolute proof that they know we are the real Jews. That's absolute proof. Now you got the records. Go find me a white Jew on any archaeology in Egypt anywhere. You will never find a piece of archaeology with white people as slaves in Egypt. So don't tell me that they were slaves and it's their identity, and they know it. And I know the blasphemy of them, which they are Jews. The Lord knows the blasphemy of you, so chosen people are living in the ghettos of America. God's chosen people are in poverty and depression in the streets of America. God's chosen people are walking around in America with no identity. That's where God's chosen people are.
What it do? What it do? What it do? You know. Cult leader. Yeah. We speak the truth, but we a cult leader. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a cult leader. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a cult leader. Yeah.
It's Kool-Aid, a nigga that sipped the Kool-Aid. That LaFraud, single barrel and Goose. Got the coke going up on a Tuesday. Roast the false prophet like a gourmet souffle. Cause me no say spirit gun like Yusuke. Nigga might run up in that black face like Gucci. Boycott a cracker, kill your favorite rapper. Cause I run with G's like a Green Bay Packer. I chop a Christian like a new machete. When you religionist, they look at you like R. Kelly. Still these women wanna do me like I'm Akinelli. West Coast sisters love me like a Machiavelli. Make these crackers lick the dust off my boots. We want no cowards in our camp and we ain't taking recruits. My crew the livest, y'all suckers is the jobbers. Niggas run their lips but they damn sure wouldn't try us. Nah, I ain't the same cat who used to break laws. They just rather see me as the same cause. Some rather remain lost. My brain washed with these stained thoughts. I be repping for my niggas riding for the same cause. Cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, then I'm a cult leader. Yeah. Better ask somebody, bitch.
Cult leader. Yeah. We speak the truth, but we a cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, and I'm a cult leader. Yeah. Well, bitch, and I'm a cult leader. Yeah.
Hey, I don't give a love fuck about what them bitches gotta say. I'm a West nigga till they put me in the grave. I don't give a love fuck about what them niggas gotta say. I'm a West nigga till they put me in the grave. I don't care about what they say. Hey. Fuck with my Akima, fuck with my sisters, then I got a problem, I'm never gonna miss you. I got 100 hanging out the AR, I got a 50 hanging out the pistol. He say it's corner, I'm just being realistic. I be on them corner posted with the realest. If it's a Sabbath, then we going fishing. I'm reeling them in, that's a God-given mission. I'm really on 10, but I'm stamped in the pistol. I get the order, be glad of this mission. Hebrew Academy graduate, nigga. Training, go through the baddest conditions. I don't fuck with none but the baddest of bitches. She righteous, submissive, she glad to be with me. Had that thing Putin like Batman, niggas. She know I'm a prophet, she glad to be listening. Disrespect, I ain't having that shit. Tell her go make some business from scratch. She bitchin' a different breed of black man. We don't do the back thing. I remember back when I was really trapping, trying to get the racks in, selling dope to black men. But now I'm trying to make it straight. Like, don't forget about my face. We standing up straight, can't fold us. Too heavy, the world won't hold us. Don't get some rank, I told you. Line up in these ranks, we sold you. You can take that to the bank, we focus on. How many times must we remind you? One body, one way, some rank. I will never take up as a place. And the law with you ain't no up next. It's just us, nigga, that's that on that. All that weak shit, that ain't no threat. Say you won't beat, bitch, with that ain't no sweat. We with all that. The Lord called a nigga out the world. I responded and called back. Oh, Lord. And everything that they stole from us, fuck that shit. We want all that. Them niggas snitching and they act like bitches. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They killing women and they fuck with sisters. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Come on the command and general, your honor, we unaffiliated with them. Like they tongue and they say they keep that shit 100, we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated. unaffiliated with them. We unaffiliated with them. I cannot fuck around with fake niggas. We taking ground when we in your city. You better have the women, have the liquor. Keep that bitch on me, please don't but the same. Don't be a fool and be another victim. Say you a fool, you just another Christian. How you my brother, you ain't in it with me. We in the gutter, deep down in the trenches. We with them niggas locked up in the prison. Fucking Hispanic, Native American, Indian, we ain't just talking shit. But we living in it, we be everywhere, you can't miss it. And we be fresh as hell, take a picture. And we special now with the scriptures. Play, we gon' scratch them, yeah, we some killers. These niggas tripping, they mind blown. Rap in it, forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't get it pause when niggas say that they be looking for niggas to slide on. The slide that I know about is when I send with the Glock with the slide for real. I get the order, you know that it's slaughter. See me and my niggas gon' die for real. The bigger the better for kingdom of heaven. You niggas get wet about me cause I'm fed up. I rep UPK. My niggas won't let up. Got choppers, got nines, AKs, Berettas. You say you don't like me, you say you won't fight with what me and my nigga like, bitch, it whatever. You say you don't like me, you say you won't fight with what me and my nigga like. My nigga like them niggas snitching in their ass like bitches. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They killing women and they fuck with sisters. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Come under command and general, your hunter, we unaffiliated with them. Like they tongue and they say they keep that shit 100, we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Yeah. See, they always ask us like, why y'all don't fuck with such and such? Why y'all won't come together with such and such? I be like, we unaffiliated with them. Understand me? Like, niggas be out here on some weirdo shit. And to be honest, that's
Yeah, shalom. Yeah, Mr. Shabkata. All right, Salakia. We had it's with the mic. All right, so we get it sorted out. So I will start back from the top, right? I am Priest Officer Maikwa of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander Joel Hannah. We've been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969, that Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people, we belong to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And when you hear about the nation Israel, we're not talking about the Israel we know today, right? That we see bombing Gaza, right? They are Ashkenazi Jews, right? that nation was formed in 1948, right? But the true Jews of the Bible, which is the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people, which are predominantly in North, Central, and South America, scattered all through the Caribbean and the different islands and countries of the world, right? That bloodline of people, we are the true Israelites of the Bible, right? This is not about skin color, but a bloodline of people, right? That came down from our forefather Jacob, right? Whose name was changed to Israel, right? And he had 12 sons, and his sons made up the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? And with the head tribe being the tribe of Judah, right? And our king, right? You may know him in the world as Jesus Christ, right? In the Hebrew, his name is Yahushai in the Hebrew, right? This is our king, right? Christ, who is the head of Israel, the king of Israel, and belongs to the tribe of Judah, right? If you are of West Indian heritage, right, you would be belonging to the tribe of Benjamin, right, and so forth, right? People of the Argentina to Chile region would belong to the tribe of Nefertari. Asher, right? They hear them predominantly about Asher in the news, and they would know it's the tribe of Asher because in the world we don't know them as Asher, we know them as the people of Venezuela, right? Even all the way down to Colombia and Uruguay. They are all belong to the tribe of Asher. So this is not about skin color, right? Many Venezuelan people are lighter color in skin, some darker, some brown skin, right? They are all different shades of brown, right? But they all belong, once they have that ancestry, right? Through the Atlantic slave trade, right? The Native Indian people also belong to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? Once they have that bloodline, they belong to the nation of Israel, right? The Bible said, you are the seed of your father, right? So your father would determine your bloodline, right? If your father is a Chinese, then it doesn't matter if your mother is Native African, right? You are a Chinese because your father, right? The seed of your father is what determines the bloodline, right? So before we get into it, right? This is ISUPK Trinidad, right? Our school is in Morris Street, Point Fortin, right? If you're new to this channel, right? We have classes Monday night, which is tonight, right? Starts at 7 p.m., right? Also 7 to 9. Also, we have classes on a Tuesday as well, same time, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., right? We have the radio show, right, on a Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., right, on 91.9 FM, right? So if you have the chance and you could tune into the radio station, do tune in. You could call, you could ask a question, you could ask any question about the Bible, right, and have your question answered, right? That program is run by our camp leader, Priest and Officer Sawapiala and Priest and Officer Matkwayat, right? They run that radio show, right? It is a very highly interactive show, and you could have your questions answered, or you could send in your questions even to the school. If you tune into the channel, type in your questions in the chat, right? If I am unable to answer it, I will pass it on to our camp leader, Priest and Officer Swapiala, and he will surely deliver answer to you, right? So without further ado, right, just as the title of the class said, Trinidad versus Venezuela, right? All over the media here in Trinidad and even on some media channels on the outside world, right, is this link between Trinidad and Venezuela, this aggression between Trinidad and Venezuela, right, and our relation as it relates to the United States, right? So we're going to get right into it, right? And I'm going to play a clip, and then we will start to discuss in the class, right?
This is a sad day for Trinidad and Tobago, you know. That Jack, who exactly in Caracas is Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Persad Besese, going to speak with? Who exactly in Caracas do you intend to speak with? Nicolas Maduro? Delcy Rodriguez, who exactly in Caracas do you intend to speak with? Somebody tell me, please. Do you think that when Dr. Keith Rowley was the Prime Minister of Trinidad, that he didn't understand that the Americans hated Maduro and they wanted him out of office? You don't think he knew that? Hmm? Explain it to me. Rowley knew that the Americans wanted Maduro out of office. What Rowley also knew was that when you're a leader, you lead from the front. Nobody must be behind pushing you. You don't think that President Ali of Guyana knows that the Americans want Maduro out of Caracas and out of office? He knows that. But one of the things that he does not do is try to foment tensions with Venezuela. He was in St. Vincent for a meeting, shaking Maduro's hand, exchanging gifts. That is what he was doing. Peace, dialogue, that's what he was calling for. I find it very strange that a second-time Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessed, does not understand all of these simple things. Who is she going to talk to in Caracas? She has taken the side of America, war of aggression against Caracas. Her administration has fomented tensions against Venezuela. She doesn't mind America blowing people the hell out the water in the South Caribbean Sea, which is illegal according to their own constitution. This is a sad day for Trinidad and Tobago, you know. That dragon gas deal is going to take a very, very long time to go forward. Already Maduro is saying he is not going to budge. So she now has to play a game with the United States of America. She's on pins and needles now with the United States of America. She said there'll be no discussion about regime change with the US. Our concern has always been, and theirs, which we share, is really dealing with the criminals, the narco traffickers, the human traffickers, the gun runners. And that is my concern, and that is what we want, she said. But what does America want? America wants Maduro gone. Simple and straight, and wants their oil. And Kamala intends that when the US removes Maduro, and all will be well with the dragon gas deal. Think again. You better really think again. Because you've already shown the world that you do not recognize the government in Caracas. As opposition leader in 2019, you openly backed Juan Guaido, who declared himself an interim president. Never got to be president, but he said he was the president, and you backed that. One thing the empire is very good at, and when I say the empire, I'm talking about the United States of America. One thing that the empire is very good at is plunder, conquer, and divide.
All right. So just as the clip said, right, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, right, Kamala Persad-Bissessed, right, has been to the United States in a meeting with the United States of America concerning a dragon gas deal in Trinidad, right? And this deal entails Trinidad getting gas from Venezuela to Trinidad in order to support the Trinidad and Tobago economy, right? Because the Trinidad and Tobago gas and oil economy is basically in a decline, all right? And when this current Prime Minister came into office, right, she was totally against it, right? She said that this deal that was made by the previous government is dead, right? And they would not be pursuing this dragon gas deal, right? And in subsequent months, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, went on to criticize, right, the Venezuelan government, right, and supported Donald Trump when he called Maduro a narco-terrorist, right? And many of the Venezuelan people here in Trinidad, she threatened, right, that she would send them back and that they should leave in advance, right, even before she does so, right? And when she went to the meeting in the United States, they granted the Trinidad and Tobago an OFAC license, right? So the Dragon project is a cross-border hydrocarbon, right, deal between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. It involves developing the Dragon gas field in Venezuela offshore waters with participation from Shell and Trinidad and Tobago National Gas Company. A U.S. license under OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets and Control, is required because of the sanctions on Venezuela. This license allows payment and operations to proceed despite the sanctions. So in order for this transaction to take place, right, under the sanctions that America put on Venezuela, they need to get this OFAC license, right? And this license was granted by Mark Rubio to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago so that they may commence on this gas deal, right, that Trinidad at this time desperately needs. So because of this, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago decides to make a U-turn, right? In her words, right? She is now sending out compliments to the Venezuela regime, right? Because she wants this gas deal to happen, right? Of which now the tables are turned that Trinidad and Tobago needs the help of Venezuela. At one time, when the first set of sanctions was put on the Venezuelan government during the first administration of Donald Trump, many of the Venezuelan people had to flee Venezuela, and many of them came to Trinidad, right, to the tune of an estimated amount of 40,000 Venezuelans came to Trinidad, right, because of economic hardship, right, and that was due to the first set of sanctions that the Americans put on Venezuela. And now the tables are turning that Trinidad is in a decline for oil and gas, right? And we can't manage to run a balanced budget, right? So we're running a deficit budget. Now we are in the red. We now need the help of Venezuela. And now the same government that our Prime Minister was criticizing and calling them narco-terrorists, right? And wanted to send back the Venezuelan people. Now that we need their gas, right? The tune has changed. Understand? The wind has changed. Because now Trinidad and Tobago energy industry is about to go in the red. Right? And this is the thing, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Right? This is why the ISUPK under commanding General Hanna is extremely important, right? Because in here, we give the tools necessary so that the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man would be able to combat whatever is in the world. Understand? And we're going to read this first scripture, right? That if we as a people continue or embrace the things of the Lord, right, we would be able to navigate in this world at a very high level. And the scriptures was written thousands of years ago, and it is still exactly true and valid today, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. And this is what the scripture says. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, right, and verse 20. And it says, "Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? there is more hope for a fool than him. And this is what happened to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. She was hasty in her words, understand? And now she has to rebut, understand, and rewind and take back all the things that she said about Venezuela in order for this deal to go down. And this is the thing, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, that why under the ISP, under Command in Hannah, we say, don't vote. Because many of the times, people will say, well, that's my right. I have a right to vote. And many in the past fight for we to have the right to vote. But this is the thing. The leaders that we are voting for today does not seek the interests of the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people. They serve their interests. Understand? They serve their nation, their people. Right? We had the Prime Minister of India visiting Trinidad. Right? It was a big event, and many people came out in the airport to greet him. Understand? And it was a pity to see that there was a Negro child in the lineup to give the president, I think I believe it was a bouquet of flowers or whatever as a greeting. Right? So like, yeah, just give me a minute, Baba Pusha.
That's why we unaffiliated with them. Hey, hey, hey. That's why we unaffiliated with them. Yeah. Oh.
Gotta go dance. Shaw. Gotta go dance. Gotta see my dance. She let my dance. Gotta go dance. Dance. Down with these hoes. Down with the pole. I'm talking about rockets. Down with these hoes. I deal with my pole, but I'm talking about rockets. I wanna know who they gon' go to when they don't go. Bitch, I'm on top ropes. She check out my niggas, you know I wanna meet you. I wanna teach you. I wanna eat you. Then I'm a bitch. I like a secret. Y'all in the beach. I'm in here preaching. Don't want no features. You sweet margarita, boy, you ain't no leader. Boy, you ain't no leader. Yeah, well, I watch how she poke it out. Hand in the air, my soda just rolling. They leeching off me, cause they know I got more.
Right? So, Salakia. Right? So the Prime Minister of India came to visit Trinidad, and this Negro child in the lineup to give the Prime Minister of India this bouquet as a welcoming gift. The Prime Minister coming to Trinidad, showing diversity in culture. Right? And when he gave the gift, they simply, and it's time to take the photo, they simply just push him out the way, and he was shrugged all the way to the back. Right? And everybody who belonged to the nation of the nation of India and who were the descendants of the nation of India were in front to take this picture. Right? And these things happen from time to time in different spheres in society. Right? And just like the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, the country today here in Trinidad and Tobago is in a deficit. Right? You could feel that the economy is slow, and you could read that the economy is slow. Right? The headlines blasting, the alarms ringing off. Right? Many people on the breadline. Right? They have somewhat of upwards of almost 40,000 people being jobless. Right? Within the space of a couple months. Right? And everybody is waiting on the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, right, to read the budget, right, which no date has been announced as yet. And the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is ridiculing our neighbors, Venezuela, right? Until it has to come to the time now where they have to make this U-turn in order to get this gas deal to go down, to, in a sense, to save the Trinidad and Tobago economy, right? And you black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man, when we vote, right, we're looking at the near picture because we want jobs. We see the poverty around us. We want our lives to be better. Understand? But many of the times, when we vote for somebody who is not of the nation of the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, they too have their agenda. Understand? They too have their aspirations, and they use this voting base to get in the seat of power so that they could achieve their aspirations for their people in government. And when we catch ourselves, whilst you were just thinking of voting so that I would get work or get employment, understand? Now Trinidad and Tobago facing war with Venezuela. Understand? So for you, it was just about employment. And now voting in this new government, it put the entire country in danger now. Now we at odds with Venezuela. Now we're facing wartime. Now even the people, reaching down to the ground where even the people of Venezuela and Trinidad, because of the politics and the games playing on top, not liking each other. And tonight, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people, we have to understand we cannot get caught up, right, in this political propaganda. Understand? And it's only Lord, understand, under Commanding Jayahana in the ISUPK. Only because of the ISUPK we are able to see through. Understand? This political shade that has come upon these islands all over the Caribbean. Understand? The oppressor is using these little islands whose leaders are unaware of how the oppressor operates, how his propaganda operates, how he rules the airwaves. And it's the Lord to show us this in these scriptures. Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. We have to wake up and understand this is not a normal time. This is a time for the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to be prepared. And the Lord has given us statutes, commandments, a constitution, history, the way our economy is supposed to run, and how we're supposed to be together as a people. If you could, Babakusha, you could give me Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1, Babakusha. Understand? We are supposed to be together as a people. That is how we're going to figure out what we're supposed to do. And the place together is in the ISUPK under Commander Jalihan. This is the place. Light pole number 1, Morris Street, Point 14, if you're in Trinidad. If you're up the islands, call the nearest camp leader to you. You could call in the United States, you could call Trinidad. Preaching officer Sowapiala. The number is passing across the screen. Not because in Grenada, meaning can't call Trinidad. We will find a place, understand, that is nearest to you. And then you're going to start to understand the prophecies in this book and how the things, just like the scripture say, the things written aforetime is written for the learning of the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. This is how we're going to know what will befall us in the future. Understand? Many people believe that this book, you know what I mean, is written by the oppressor. Understand? Or the so-called Caucasian man. That is not true. Understand? This book was ordered to be translated by King James, a black king. Understand? So now, Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people could now understand the book in their tongue. Now it could be translated in English and Latin and so forth. But they wouldn't give you this history within the church system. Understand? All they wanted to continue to do is do what? Buy a prayer cloth, put your hand on the TV, sow a seed. You understand? Give an offering. But they're not concerned about the well-being of the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. If war is to break out now, who are you going to run to? Is the Black man going to run to the Hindu temple, or the Muslim mosque, or the Catholic church? Who is going to secure your well-being? Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. And this is what the ISUPK under commanding General Hanna, this is what we are about. We are saying that this is the place for the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to learn his history, identity, and his culture, and join as a family and as a people that belong to the true bloodline of the nation of Israel. Right? So I'm saying, again, Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1 back up the share.
Come. The book of Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 1. Gather yourselves together.
What?
Gather yourselves together.
That's right. The scripture says for the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, for us to gather ourselves together. We are the Israelites in the Bible. The laws was given to you, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. We have laws to follow. Rules. How the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man should run his household. How he should live his day-to-day life. And not get caught up in the propaganda that the media is trying to put out to confuse the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man in society. Right? About bombs and drugs and narco-terrorists. You understand? When the United States, right, has overthrown almost 140 something countries out of the 154 that it have in the world. Right? All these countries like Panama, Nicaragua, and all these places, right? The Americas have intervened, places like Cuba and Grenada, right? Because of their intervention has caused many of these countries to destabilize. And the same thing is plotting for the nation of Venezuela. And this is what we have to understand. This nation is what they would call the superpower of the world. But in more layman terms, they are the bully of the world, using their military might and strength to destabilize nations and take whatever resources that they have, placing the people of the Lord in jeopardy when we depend on these governments. Come. Right? So we have to wake up, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Right? So we're going to play our next clip and understand that you, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, our leaders, politicians, religious leaders have failed the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man in society because they have failed to show us how to prepare for situations like this. If a war should break out now, and you cannot get what you're supposed to get in the supermarket, what will become of you? If a war breaks out now, and it gets so bad that you have to move to a next country, where you have to leave your nice job, and your car, and your house, and flee to a next country, or would you stay here and hug it up and let the bombs drop? Wake up, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. We have to understand the times that we are living in. Right? So we're going to play our next clip. Right? and show you how crazy life is becoming here in Trinidad if the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man isn't careful or isn't paying attention, right, of what is going on, right? So this is the Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister again, right? Concerning this deal that she is trying to make with Venezuela, but using the pressure of America to do it.
Before the elections, I said, if you do illegal activity in TNT, you will be sent back. And yet the crime involved in Venice continues to increase. In the interim, I'm advising Venezuelan migrants who are here, if you wish, you should begin to return to your country.
Right? I would play this one more time.
I warned you all before the elections. I said, if you do illegal activity in TNT, you will be sent back. And yet the crime involved in Venice continues to increase. In the interim, I'm advising Venezuelan migrants who are here, if you wish, you should begin to return to your country.
Right? So the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is telling Venezuelans it might be time to go back to your country. And according to the scriptures, according to the word of the Most High God, Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people, we all belong to one nation of people, which is the nation of Israel. We are the true Jews of the Bible. The Venezuelan people who have ancestry from the Atlantic slave trade, and the Trinidad and Tobago people who have ancestry from the slave trade, we belong to the same nation. We are brothers and sisters. And many people don't understand that. This is not about skin color and look. This is about a bloodline of people. We are one people. But here, we are allowing someone from another nation, another family, to tell us, to try to gain our support, to push our brothers and sisters away, as if they are strangers or as if they are aliens, as they like to say. But the Venezuelan people, they are our brothers and sisters. It's not now Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela doing trade. A long time. Long before 1845, when the Fatal Razak came with the so-called East Indians to Trinidad. Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela was already doing trade. They already had trade routes through Moruga and places that we call Indian Walk in Princestown. Many people believe that Indian Walk in Princestown was named after the East Indians. That is not true. Right. Indian Walk was named after the native Indians who had already established trade routes from Venezuela to Trinidad. Understand? And that was the meeting place where they would meet, like a market, to trade goods and services. Understand? And they would be back and forth between the two islands, even all the way down in Moruga as well. And then in 1845, the Fatal Razak came with indentured laborers. But before that, we never knew about East Indians on this side of the continent, right? And the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, many slavery holds, right? All in places like Belize, right, and Colombia. When slaves ran off the plantation, many of them were able to hold in strongholds in these countries. Understand? And be rescued from the slave master, from the oppressor, and hold up in stronghold that the oppressor found it hard to destroy. The slave masters found it very tough to destroy, until they had to try to sign treaties, which they would betray from time to time, right, in order to gain an upper hand on some of these strongholds that our people Israelite people, Hispanic people, and Negro people formed, Native Indians, all of us formed these strongholds and was able to fight off and defend ourselves from the oppressor. It's not now we have this relationship with those on the mainland South America. They are our brothers and sisters. And right now, the fight is against them.
Right.
But many things in the media would force the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to think that we are a separate people. This is not about skin color. This is not about how we look. This is about a history and a bloodline of people, a family that was once together. But because of slavery and oppression of the so-called oppressor or the so-called Caucasian man, caused us to believe that we are separate people.
Right.
But in these scriptures, thank God for the ISUPK and the commanding Johnny Hannah, now we can learn that we is one people, one nation. We have one identity, one statute. And we serve one God, which is the most high power under our King Yahushua. Right? And many times, because of the politics, we would want to feel that these people are strangers, right? But it's not so. Right? If you take a look at this.
Terry is reportedly preparing to seize ports and airfields of Venezuela, as Donald Trump declared a full-scale war on drug cartels. The president stunned Washington by formally declaring that America is in a non-international armed conflict with the Latin American terrorist organizations. The move, revealed in a secret memo to Congress, gives Trump sweeping wartime powers to strike, kill, and detain cartel fighters without trial. And it comes as the Pentagon quietly builds a force big enough to grab and hold territory on Venezuelan soil. U.S. planners now have enough firepower positioned to seize key ports and airfields if ordered, according to the Washington Examiner. Navy warships, a submarine, stealth jets, more than 2,000 Marines, and helicopters are said to be some of the military assets being deployed off the coast of Caracas. And Puerto Rico has become a major staging post, with constant flights delivering troops and equipment. According to defense insiders, the deployment is far beyond routine counter-drug patrols. It suggests that Washington wants the option to strike deep inside Nicolas Maduro's regime if needed. Tension spiked overnight when Venezuela's defense minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez claimed 5 F-35s were detected by air defense systems off the coast of Venezuela. Padrino blasted the flights as a provocation and vowed that Caracas will not be intimidated. The Trump administration argues that the traffickers kill tens of thousands of Americans each year, and that Venezuela's criminal networks, including the notorious Tren de Aragua and the regime-linked Cartel de los Soles, act with state protection. Trump has personally accused Nicolas Maduro of mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and acts of violence and terror. He also slapped a $50 million bounty on his head and ordered U.S. Southern Command to take the fight to the narco-terrorists. Maduro, who has clung to power for over 12 years through his transparent elections, calls it a pretext for regime change. He claims 2.5 million troops are mobilized to resist.
Right? And these are the kind of stories that have been very prevalent in the media, in all the media circulating all these Caribbean countries. And out of all these countries, right, many chose to be neutral. right? Some choose to be neutral, Slovakia, and many choose to be in support of the Venezuelan people because they understand Venezuela's history. Understand? They understand the propaganda that the oppressor plays with the minds of many people in the population. And this is where your religious leaders, if they were of the right mind and if they were true men of God, this is where they would step in. They would be able to give proper counsel and advice to the leaders. But you know what? What happened? All they're studying is what? Money. Their mind is on something else. And many of our leaders, right, because they belong to other nations, they don't see the importance, right, of supporting a people under oppression. Because all they're studying is themselves. And when you look around in the Caribbean, right, Trinidad and Tobago, and I believe one other country, is the only two countries in the entire Caribbean to be supporting Donald Trump. Everybody else is absolutely against it. Everybody else has condemned it when they went to the UN Council, right? The 80th General Assembly. Everybody else is against it. Even the Colombian president, and Colombia and Venezuela, right, usually that does have their disagreements and they're falling out. And Colombia had to come out and say, understand, and pledge their support for Venezuela. In so much that the United States has had us to take it easy. That is how much support he pledged to them. They had to ban him from coming back to the United States. Right? And Venezuela and Colombia were at odds many times. But they understand that this oppressor is absolutely to destroy the Lord's people, absolutely to destroy these nations. They know the oppressor, understand, is here to destroy the people of these islands, to destroy their resources, because they want to remain on top. And this is what the United States of America is today. And many countries, even the countries in the East, who have known this for a long time, but they continue to participate because they benefit from the wealth of America. But the time has come upon them where they too have to check themselves, because they now understand, hey, this oppressor getting more and more greedy, more and more oppressive, until all countries now battling with tariffs all over the world. Understand? Because America has said they are putting themselves first. And the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has adopted this same spirit. Now she using the same type of words in her speeches, putting her people first. Slovakia, go ahead. Yeah, the mic.
Mm-hmm. What's his name? I think you're dealing with security or some sort of white man. Forget his name. Yeah, Sata. Rotten teeth and thing. I forget his name.
You're talking about Slovakia. That was Rudy Giuliani.
Right.
Yeah.
That is it. So that trainer since then.
Yeah.
She always supporting the oppressor.
That's right.
You understand? She come into power supporting the oppressor. She leave, still supporting and come back again. With you watching all the countries around him back down because they're realizing something wrong with this oppressor. They see it now, something strange, boy. Yeah. They maybe can't figure it out yet. They may be watching here, he's a bully, whatever the case might be. But you not running in head first to support the bully and bullying all the other nations. You understand? So Slovakia.
Yeah, and Slovakia, and we're saying is so true. You understand? Right? And just like we're saying, it's showing that she only cares about her people.
Right.
You understand? So many times they try to portray Trinidad as this happy melting pot, right? And look how all these races getting along together and holding hands and singing kumbaya. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty with survival, every man for himself.
Right.
Understand? And all nations step on the black man, the Hispanic man, and the Native Indian man. They push them down to the bottom of society.
Right.
Understand? Because even when Donald Trump, right, was also in his first regime in America, and they brought these sanctions against Venezuela, right? Venezuela became so low that they didn't even have toilet paper on the shelf.
Right.
You understand? Right? So you willing to go step so low where a people, you understand, you force them back into the country, back into a stage where people had to be defecating outside. You understand? Sad. You understand? Where people were scrambling for things to eat because nobody was prepared for that.
Right.
Right? And the country of Venezuela wasn't even poor. They had $800 million in gold in the bank in England. Understand? So even England collaborated in holding this gold so that Venezuela would not be able to deliver their people and give them the necessary amenities. And then they would blame the leader for the failure of the country. And this is how sad and destructive the oppressor could be. You understand? Right? Given the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 5 and verse 2, Babakosha. Understand? These leaders, they are rash. They speak for themselves. Understand? So they talk hastily against, understand, any nation. But this is the thing, the haste in which she talk against Venezuela,
right?
Many people don't understand that Venezuela belongs to the Lord. This is the Lord's people. Understand? And the Lord now has twisted her hand and in the point where she had to make a U-turn and say, hey, we had to do what? We had to go back to Venezuela in order for Trinidad to survive.
Right.
This deficit that we find ourselves in. So you can remember Ecclesiastes 5 and 2, Babakosha.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
Be not rash with thy mouth.
Be not what?
Be not rash with thy mouth.
That's right. That scripture say. The scripture say if she was a true a true prime minister of a country, that would happen. She would not be rash with her mouth. She would not speak the things before time. Understand? Because she would understand and be able to weigh out the situation that the country is in. You understand? It also shows that she do have the proper counselors around her. Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, this is what we have to see. This is what we have to wake up to and understand. You understand? That our leaders do want to operate without counsel. And when they do get counsel, it's for themselves. Wake up, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, and understand the condition that our people find ourselves in under these leaders. That is why, as we read before, the scripture say, gather ourselves together. It's time we learn how to operate and live amongst one another, help one another, help build up and raise up one another, so that we may not fall into the pitfalls of society today and the things that befall the so-called black and Hispanic and Native Indian man. Right? Slovakia, continue with Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 2, Bamakosha. Right? We can read back from the top. Right? You black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man do fall victim to the propaganda that is pushing out on social media or the traditional media. Understand? You are a royal people. You are special people, the Lord say. But for you to know and understand who you truly are, you have to tune in. You have to come to class. Come to class in the ICPK and come on in Johnny. Tune into these classes online. Tune into the radio show 91.9 FM, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on a Thursday. Understand? And there you're going to understand your role, your history, your identity. Right? So you give me Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 2. You give me from the top, Baba Kusha.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
Be not rash with thy mouth.
Be not what?
Be not rash with thy mouth.
Right? So that's what happened to the Prime Minister. Right? Yeah. She spoke too fast and no one to make a U-turn. Right. Because the election that can't survive without the dragon gas. You understand? Continue.
And let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before the Most High.
Go ahead.
For the Most High is in heaven.
Go ahead.
And thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few.
That's right. You understand? You black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, let us all not be rash to say things quickly or in haste. Just as the ICPG under command in General Hannah, say, seek counsel. Get the necessary advice on what you should do on whatever situation you're dealing with. And we just watching this example playing out in the public here, and that's showing up our leaders, showing up the mistakes that they are making, because why? They don't know the Lord. So they're going to make these mistakes. Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Right? Let me touch this next clip here. Right? Showing you this same example. Right? Let me see if I can find it here. Right? Look at this.
Minister of Energy to Grenada, because I'm being told that.
So this was in April 2025 when the current Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago recently won the elections. She now won the elections, and immediately on the day after they found out that they won elections, she decided to make this pronouncement, right, upon the dragon gas deal, right? So this is one day after she making this pronouncement. No counsel, no time to analyze the situation, nothing. She just decided to come out and make the statement.
I intend to send my Minister of Energy to Grenada, because I'm being told that Grenada offshore has more gas and oil than the Dragon field. So shall we explore that? It's dead. It is dead. They kept it alive for 10 years. And they couldn't do that in 10 years. Let's look right in the cargo. Grenada. And
for the swine.
So the Prime Minister is saying this deal, that deal with the dragon gas, or what they wanted to do to get gas from Venezuela, that dead. So she didn't even have it on the radar. She totally shelved that, put it on the side. And this is the energy minister, right? The current energy minister, Rudal Muninal, and he too is in support of the Prime Minister as well, showing that she didn't have the right counsel at the time, right? Go ahead.
Guyanese government and officials there have expressed interest in having arrangements with Trinidad and Tobago and discussions with.
Right, so the Prime Minister saying that she thinking about getting gas from Grenada. The Minister of Energy saying he wants to get gas from Guyana, right? And both of them in the same government, right?
Pertaining to gas, and it is something that we will quickly engage the government and the relevant officials in Guyana.
For Trinidad and Tobago, why immediately?
Right, and this is the former energy minister, right, saying that he can't understand why they didn't wait, right, and look through the documents to see if the deal was good or not, and then make a decision, right?
Immediately, before you've even sat down and looked at a single piece of paper, including a 30-year license with Venezuela, say no. And this is his sting in the tail. Dragon gas is proven gas reserves that all it requires is 18 kilometers of pipeline to our closest infrastructure. It's dead. It is dead. Pushing and really pushing.
Right? So she was convinced that that is dead. While the technocrats in the industry say you need 18 kilometers of pipeline, and Trinidad, once again, have all the gas it needs from Venezuela. Because Venezuela have one of the biggest oil reserves in the world. So Trinidad will not be lacking for gas for years, right? Once this partnership between Trinidad and Venezuela come to life, right? That was April 2025. Now we're in October 2025, right? And when she met with Mark Rubio, Mark Rubio decided to give them back the OFAC license since the former administration is out of government. And now she had to go back to Venezuela, the same country that she say she don't want to do no deal with, and that deal dead. So this is she talking now in October 2025, and this is what she had to say.
On is against the criminals, the narco traffickers, the human traffickers, the gun runners, is the criminals. So we have nothing against the people of Venezuela. I've repeatedly said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela.
The Prime Minister, responding to questions regarding her recent meeting with United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the OFAC license to operate the Dragon Gas deal.
He said that he had approved the OFAC license. I think we both understood the urgency of the matter. So that is one step in a two-step process that we have to go through. The second step would be our license with Venezuela.
Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar has made it clear that Trinidad and Tobago will continue to work with Venezuela.
I'm told that we had a...
Right? So the tune changed now. Now you don't want to criticize Venezuela again. Now you want to work with them. After you already condemned the man as a narco trafficker. To the world. He went on the UN stage and agree with the United States that this man is a narco trafficker, and now you want gas from the narco trafficker. Tell me if that makes sense. That is how crazy our leaders have become, right? If you give me Proverbs 12 and verse 15, Baba Kusha.
30-year license from Venezuela, but of course, given all that has transpired, we will have some more negotiations with Venezuela. Shell is involved in that project, and indeed I'm meeting Mr. Lomax from Shell in a short while to see what progress they have made. Before this happened with the United States, Shell had gone to Venezuela. They had discussions with Madam Delcy about the license, and well, I want to get updates from him as well, because Shell will have to speak with officials in Venezuela.
The Prime Minister said she is yet to officially reach out to Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, but will do so in the near future. She said, however, she is still in support of the U.S. intervention.
In fact, since that has happened, you would have seen that the amount of murders in my own country has fallen, the numbers. That might be partly because of that, and the other part would be, of course, the state of emergency that we have in place, which has not disrupted lives except the lives of criminals. Am I in support? Yes, I remain in support of the U.S. intervention in the region. Criminals are criminals. We have to wipe out criminals, as I say. Violently, I'd said it.
Right? And when the reporter interviewing she's still saying she's in support of the U.S. intervention in the region. But this is not the U.S. intervention in the region. The U.S. came against Venezuela. It didn't come to the region. It didn't say we cutting out narco trafficking among the Caribbean islands and Venezuela. It came to Venezuela. And that's how they play this game and play this propaganda. So by she saying region, she ain't saying Venezuela. So it's like a game. You understand? But she understands that, hey, the US really come on Venezuela doorstep. That's who they come to. You understand? And by she supporting it, she's supporting America. And she's supporting the oppression on Venezuela. And this is the game to play. And then now, they are looking now to enter agreement with somebody who you supporting oppression against. That is like a horror movie. You understand? You supporting somebody to get bullied and still want what they have. That's how bad society become. You understand? And this is what this here showing me the true nature of the oppressor and show you the true nature of the other nations, how they operate. They don't care about you. Once their belly is filled, everybody else could eat the crumbs. And this is the oppressor being exposed for who he truly is. And this is where people had to wake up and understand through all these clips and news stories and the things we see all on social media. We are getting to see the oppressor expose himself, to see America expose themselves to the world, who they truly are. And this is the time for you Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to be paying attention to these things. And if you want to stay on top of what's going on, tune into the ISUPK under command of General Hannah. We will keep you up to date on what's going on. Understand? Right? Type in ISUPK. Understand? On any platform, Trinidad, the Washington, D.C., right? You have Captain Mashak in D.C., right? You have Commandant General Hannah. You understand? The leader of the nation. Right? Tune into the ISUPK and understand what is happening. Don't just be living day-to-day Black man and not paying attention. Otherwise, these things will take you by surprise. Right? So give me Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 15, Babakisha.
Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
What happened to the ways of a fool?
The way of the fool is right in his own eyes.
That's right. In his own eyes, he right. Understand? When they make the decision, hey, boy, let me put it on the shelf, yes. That is choppiness them talking to the other side. We don't want to hear them. Understand? What is the call? Rowley, a bobby head, right? They call him a Oreo, he black inside and black outside and white inside. These are the things that they used to be saying. Understand? And the same deal that they make, now that I run back to it. Understand? All kind of racial slurs they say about him. Understand? He's a geologist, he do not more energy and all that kind of thing. Understand? And who black and who is PNM and UNC, that's why I tell you, Black man, don't get involved in politics. You understand? Right? Pay attention to it. You understand? But don't get it thinking I go vote this party and I go bail them out. No. You understand? Right? Many people voted for this current administration in government. You understand? But they didn't vote for we going to war against Venezuela. When he was voting back then, every paper that marked, if you vote for me, we'll be going into war with Venezuela. Nobody would not vote. You understand? We was voting for what? Jobs and opportunity and better education. And that we was voting for. And look what come and happen. Now we're facing threats from Venezuela. This is what happened. Or what has happened to the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man when we choose a leader outside our nation. Right? So give me back Proverbs 12 and 15 from the top, Babakosha.
Proverbs chapter.
Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his eyes,
Right.
in his own eyes.
In his own eyes, go ahead.
But he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise.
That's right. Understand? And just like that was explained in the clip before, he that hearken unto counsel is wise. You take the time, understand, to get the necessary counsel and advice on what you should be doing. And this is how the nation of Israel operates. So that way, when you make this big decision that would affect millions of people, you would be able to make the right decision, the decision that the Lord wants. You understand? And this is what happened. She went out rash, you understand, make a decision and then had to make a complete U-turn. You understand? And now she looking like the fool. You understand? Because she was right in her own eyes. But the fact state that this would have been one of the best deals to keep the Trinidad and Tobago economy afloat. You understand? To keep away from a deficit budget. Right? And if you don't believe that Trinidad in a deficit budget, Believe it now. Right? Look at this clip here.
I believe we will have a balanced budget because we've inherited some really bad treasury stocks. We've inherited a lot of borrowings as well. I don't think we can have a balanced budget, so we may have expenditure outpacing revenues. And so we'll have to find creative ways to supplement those revenues. So in other words, there will be a deficit. And we will have to find ways to finance that deficit.
Mrs. Pasad-Bissassa assured that the budget will be read in early October. However, a fixed date has not yet been determined. The Prime Minister said the government will explore solutions to tackle the budget deficit.
I've been in this parliament long enough, many of you have been around. There are creative ways of financing deficits, and we will utilize the tools that are available in terms of financing the deficit that we expect.
Right? And this is what happened. Now Trinidad running a deficit budget. And just like she put it over nice, right? The expense is outrunning the revenue, right? Meaning that we can't bring in enough, we're not making enough money to cover the lifestyle that we live in here in Trinidad. So it's either two things. Either we cut back and live a very bleak lifestyle, less services, less jobs in the society, less amenities and things they enjoy, or to balance this deficit budget, you have to borrow. Understand? And this is what happening. But this is where the Dragon gas deal would have stepped in for Trinidad, right? Because if we struck the deal with Venezuela, they had to build just a couple kilometers of pipeline from the Dragon gas field, right, to the Trinidad field, which is not too far away, and then that field that they're going to connect to, all the pipelines in Trinidad already connected up, so that they would have no added infrastructure, right, to send the gas to wherever it needs to go in Trinidad. You understand? So we know would buy Venezuelan gas, right, from the field. They would send it to Trinidad, and then we would be able to export it on the market. And we benefiting, and Venezuela benefiting. You understand? Right? Because Venezuela under sanction. But if they pass it to Trinidad, we able to sell it. So now they would benefit and they would make money, and we would benefit. And that's why the United States wanted to shut down the deal, because they did not want Maduro to benefit at all. He must not benefit. But if he ain't benefiting, Trinidad can't make no money. And we now ending up in a deficit, because we're not producing oil and gas as they used to, right? And then they have what they call the East Block, where ExxonMobil is now looking to drill in Trinidad, right? But that's not coming on stream until somewhere 2030. So you're looking at 5 years with no money. You understand? And you know Trinidad and Tobago have a shortage of foreign exchange. And oil and gas brings in US currency. Trinidad and Tobago cannot buy on the international market without US currency. We can't use your own currency. We must have US currency in order for us to operate and trade on the international market. Just like the general has always been teaching us, all like when we learning about mark of the beast, nations being unable to trade, Trinidad ended up in a situation like that. We're unable to buy and sell on the international market if we don't have this currency. You understand? And that is trading how the oppressor controls the world, even the small nations. So when you're thinking, nah, like that America, them, no, it's even affecting us in terms of how we are going to live and eat on a daily basis. And this is where Black people have to wake up and understand how serious the situation is. All right? All right, give me Proverbs 16 and verse 18, Baba Kusha.
Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction.
What happened?
Pride goeth before destruction.
That's right. It's a pride goeth before destruction. So when we see in America doing all the things that they're doing, right? All the destruction that they're bringing to the world, all the tariffs that are put on all different countries. The scripture says pride goeth before the fallen. You understand? And we literally in this age, right, getting to see America fall apart bit by bit in front of our eyes. You understand? Until there's a part in scripture, we say even the merchants will cry when they see how America is destroyed. Because they can't sell and buy and enjoy the good things that they used to benefit from America. You understand? Right? When America threatened to pull away from certain industries from the Chinese has bought it. China have 1.3 billion people. But the US market is the market that consumes the most, even more than China. You understand? When they bring out an iPhone this year, next year, iPhone 17 this year, next year is iPhone 18. All the people who are 17 want to go to iPhone 18 because there's a society that consumes a lot. You understand? Why we in Trinidad are holding on to the old phone from since 2008. You understand? We ain't buy a new phone until that screen and the crack and we can't see. You understand? But everybody with the Western society and that spirit of the oppressor, they are consumers. You understand? So that American market is the fastest consuming market. They're running through all type of assets or what's a better word? All type of products very quickly. You understand? Louis Vuitton come out with a new collection this year. Next year, they want the next collection. You understand? People praying pre-order for cars. You understand? For 2026, and we still in 2025, and your car still new. Nothing wrong with it. But you want the next one that come in. You don't put in an order for the concept car. A concept. They even bring it down to manufacturing yet. That is how fast that society does consume. You understand? And just like how you're looking at on the screen here, you understand? This is the Venezuelan defense minister, and he is saying that Trinidad and the United States, you understand, is who helping push all this propaganda against their country. That is how bad it is. And they are saying if the Trinidad and Tobago allows Venezuela to put the American assets or planes on their soil, they are going to have a war with Trinidad. That is how terrible it is. You understand? Right? And it making the people form an opinion in the mind that, hey, it's Trinidad against Venezuela, but it's not so. You understand? Trinidad and Venezuela was a people that always used to get along. Until 1845, Fatal Razak reached and it's chaos. This prime minister in office for 6 months, and we looking at a war. Crazy. You understand? That is how crazy the society too. And it have this back and forth between the leaders, even the vice president of Venezuela, you understand? Have to say that Trinidad be out of place. You understand? Right? Maduro had a call, she a drunkard. And I want to know who she gained she advice from. Because no rightful person would give you this type of counsel. You understand? It's very ridiculous. And it's showing you how the oppressor could twist and turn a country. So because we in a deficit, the oppressor realized, hey, oh, so you want help. You understand? Do this in order for you to get the help. And we in Trinidad in front running. Understand? Because why? We want, understand, to full belly, and everybody else could stop. Understand? We willing to we willing as the in the world say, as the world say, we willing to sell your soul. Understand? We're willing to do that dance for the devil. That is how oppressive in nature, understand, America is against other countries. And they're using the economic might and the military might. And using propaganda through different agencies like the CIA, understand? To infiltrate different countries. To bring a different narrative about the leaders of these countries. And the same way they're attempting to overthrow Venezuela is the same way that they did it in Panama and Nicaragua and all these places. Cuba, understand? Heavy propaganda. Right? What's going on with Haiti? Haiti is basically not a country again. You understand? You can't even wake up to build a life. That is how crazy and oppressive America has become to these other nations. And if the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man do wake up, you understand? When you do wake up, it will literally be the end. And they will literally wonder how I reach here. Because they wasn't paying attention to the signs of the times. They wasn't paying attention to the prophets on the street, to the prophets on the radio, understand? To the prophets on the social media, telling you every day, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, wake up. Gather yourself together. You as a rural people, you come from a rural bloodline, you didn't take the time to check and research. You didn't take the time to call 479-8286. You didn't take the time to come like pole number 1 Morris Street, Point Fortin. You didn't take the time to call Camp Leader Prison Officer Swapiala in Trinidad. And time will pass, and it will just be too late. We had to wake up and understand that these scriptures are real. It's not the things that we learn in the Christian church. The Christian church don't know what's going on. The Christian church lost. These religious leaders lost in society. All this going on here, and up to now, we hear a religious leader come out and say, all right, this is what really going on. All of them quiet, all of them in silence. Because they don't know what's going on. They're in the dark. They lack the understanding to know what's going on. And this is why we have to wake up and understand these times is very, very, very serious times. Right? Right? This year, showing you some of the U.S. assets in the Caribbean.
The U.S. military, following the president's order to fight narco cartels, deployed a small armada to the Caribbean.
So, United States decided to send some of their assets to the Caribbean to fight narco trafficking. But when you look at some of these assets that they're sending to the Caribbean to fight narco trafficking, it's not drug dealers them fighting, them ready being setting up for war. You understand? It's a literal guys. They're pulling wool over the eyes. You understand? Because these assets that come in here, narco traffickers don't have the ability to fight back against these things. That is for war. And they're already setting up these things in the Caribbean. And these some of the assets. This is some that reported. You understand? Who knows what else they have out there? That unreported.
Relatively close to Venezuela. Recall that the US recently labeled the Venezuelan government as effectively a narco cartel in itself. The US Armada has been in place for some weeks now, and the situation remains uncertain. This video will review the US assets in the region and the Venezuelan assets available to counter them. The US currently uses Puerto Rico as a forward base, roughly 500 miles from Caracas. Currently uses Puerto Rico as a forward base.
Right, and many people you hear about the US landing all the equipment in Puerto Rico, and just as you look at the screen, watch where Puerto Rico is from Venezuela. So strategically, they are already setting up themselves in a way to put heavy pressure on Venezuela. And if and when this invasion do take place, if they to try to topple this regime, they are already setting up themselves. What with Puerto Rico is and what with Trinidad and Tobago is. So it's literally like they literally surrounding Venezuela from all sides. And this is why Venezuela is ringing the alarm to the world to make them know, hey, these people are about to do something. Whether it's boots on the ground or airstrike. But they're making them know this is not drug trafficking. This could end up turning out to be a war. And this is why the people in Venezuela now trying to sound the alarm to the rest of the world. Even Colombia, which is their neighbor, sounding the alarm. Just as I was saying before, to the point where they revoke the Colombian president's visa. You understand? So he cannot return to America anymore. Right? Because he too know that if this happens to Venezuela, it's going to happen to the people in Colombia. And these two people, I understand, belong to the tribe of Asha, both Colombia and Venezuela. Right? They are the Lord's people. But our religious leaders didn't teach us that. They didn't teach us that they are our brothers and sisters. We always used to view ourselves as separate. You understand? And just as I said before, this is not about skin color, about who light and who dark. This is about a bloodline of people. And the people in the Caribbean, in the West Indies, are brothers and sisters with those on the mainland South America. We belong to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. We are the true Jews of this Bible. And no religious organization will teach you this. No Christian church, no mosque, no Muslim mosque will teach you this. No climbing on no Buddhist mountain will teach you this. Hinduism can't teach you this. Only here in the ICPK under command General Yohan since 1969 has been teaching that Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people, we are the Jews of the Bible.
Roughly 500 miles from Caracas. At its airport, a significant force has been deployed, including 10 F-35B aircraft. There are also several P-8 maritime patrol planes on rotating missions and multiple Reaper drones conducting reconnaissance. Nearby, an amphibious ready group is stationed, consisting of 2 San Antonio-class landing ships and 1 Iwo Jima-class flat-top assault ship, which in May was observed carrying 4 to 6 Harrier jump jets. All ships in the group also carry various air assault rotorcraft. One Burke-class destroyer guards the amphibious group, while another Burke, accompanied by a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, is positioned closer to Venezuelan territorial waters. A third Burke may have transited the Panama Canal to join them. Additionally, a Freedom-class LCS is also on patrol nearby. In addition, a Los Angeles-class nuclear submarine is also likely patrolling nearby, probably armed with 12 Tomahawk cruise missiles. The rest of the US ships could potentially add 100 or 200 more Tomahawks, or even more if not well stocked with anti-air missiles.
And you can see how much assets they already have in the Caribbean. Right? And that alone is to show you they've been fighting drug cartels. There's a whole section of the US military that they already sent out already. Both air, sea, and underwater defenses. We could have a submarine reported to be in the ocean. And then putting it under the guise or the propaganda as narco trafficking. Go ahead, Officer Maxwell.
They were look close, as I rightfully say, they were all the countries close or around Venezuela. Everybody starting to prepare. Because Brazil is showing off the military might, Puerto Rico, you understand? All these different places trying to show the military strength.
That's right.
You understand? So, everybody preparing for something. Because something is about to go down.
That's right. You understand? Right? So they started to realize that hey, this thing getting a little more serious, understand, than it actually is. And for Trinidad, right, they're taking it light. It's like a game. Understand? We could cut out Venezuela one way and then take the gas the next way. Understand? And this is the games to play. And then many things that that might be privy to the average man, right? Because many people, right, would know what actually took place in the meeting between Kamala Persad-Bissessar and Marco Rubio. Right. You understand? What she promised to give, understand, and what they promised to do. Understand? These things happen behind closed doors, right? And many people don't understand that when these deals are made, right, many times for smaller countries it is made into the detriment of us. You understand? We do benefit from it. You understand? Because the oppressor making sure that what America comes first. That is what they're saying whole year since the communist administration. They're putting that country first, putting his people first. So whatever deal that coming out, when we think we benefiting, them already 2 steps ahead. And that is what this present administration failed to realize. You understand? But many Caribbean leaders understand the history of America. They understand the pattern. They're looking back at all the Panama, Nicaragua, Colombia, and all the countries that America overthrew, Cuba and Haiti, and all in the Middle East. And when they understand this history, they will understand that this oppressor is not somebody to deal with. Just as the scriptures say, they have always broken all their treaties. All the treaties set up. Even from way back with the Native Indians, they break that treaty, coming right up to the year 2025, and they're still breaking treaty. Understand? They promised to help Ukraine, come to Ukraine. Ukraine gained bomb left, right, and center. And understand? They tell Israel, hey, stop the war. Israel's still bombing Gaza. Always breaking them treaties, right? And this is what the Prime Minister, she make the U-turn. This is actually what she had to say about
Prime Minister Kamala Persad.
When the reporters questioned she about invasion, the invasion of Venezuela, this is what she had to say.
Persad-Bissessar dismissed speculation that Trinidad and Tobago could be drawn into any military conflict with Venezuela. Speaking to reporters, she responded to Venezuela Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, warning TNT not to provoke that country.
I will dare to do what I have to do to keep the people of Trinidad and Tobago safe, and that is my priority. I've said TNT first. That is my priority. I have no intention, we've had no discussions of invading Venezuela, of stepping onto Venezuela's soil. Nothing of the sort is happening.
With the United States in Caribbean waters, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar continues to welcome them, noting that it's not the first time they're here.
If that can help us stem the criminality, the trafficking, the narco-trafficking, the human trafficking, and the pain and suffering that brings to the people here, then yes, we welcome them and look forward to their cooperation with us.
However, she insisted that Trinidad and Tobago will do what is necessary if its neighbor Guyana is in trouble.
A lot of this fear-mongering, there have been no discussions with the U.S. or anyone else. However, I repeat, should Venezuela invade Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago will definitely step forward in defense of our cousins, our brothers and sisters in the CARICOM.
Right? So she's saying if the United States invade Guyana, right? Because Guyana have a dispute with the Essequibo region on the South American mainland over who owns that particular plot or area of land, right? Which is has a very big oil reserve. And she is saying if Venezuela invade Guyana, Trinidad would step up. And everybody knows Trinidad does not have a military or has no military might in the Caribbean, right, to step up. So in other words, what she's saying is she would allow America to utilize Trinidad's strategic point in order to defend Guyana. You understand? And she is saying that she is there to help her brothers and sisters. And that's people don't understand it. These people are of the same nation. Right. And she's stepping out. Irfan Ali is an East Indian. She is an East Indian. And she extending the olive branch to help her brothers and sisters. Right. Many people miss these things. You understand? They supporting their family. Why can't we support ours? Go ahead, Officer McCall. Come on,
so she masking now, you understand? So the master didn't realize or understand what she's saying. You understand? But the more school done outside.
Done outside.
But more school done outside, but she people.
Come on,
they don't understand the signal she said.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. And this is what happened. So she stretching that olive branch for Guyana, but they did not want to do the deal with Venezuela. So it's showing here. You understand? They are about helping their people and their nation. That is what's going on in this society, right? So you continue.
The Prime Minister pointed out that CARICOM's response has been slowed by recent elections in member states, but insisted unity remains the goal.
I think we've had a little bit of a setback given the two elections taking place in the CARICOM and the chairman of the CARICOM. We congratulate Prime Minister Holness, of course, and President Irfan. Their elections would have put I'm not casting any blame here, I'm just saying it might have dampened a cohesive response from the entire CARICOM. But we have always had differences, and that's another thing that is a false narrative. The CARICOM has always had differences, and that's why we say we are sovereign, but at the same time, we speak with one voice. So there are issues that will have differences of opinion.
She also addressed criticism that certain CARICOM countries are fractured over the Venezuela issue.
St. Vincent and Grenadines has always had a different kind of opinion to other members of the CARICOM. That is not to say that we are fractured.
Right, and when she's talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is Ralph Gonzalez, right, and his opinion is that Trinidad and Tobago should have supported Venezuela, understand, as with the other Caribbean countries, right, and that's why they say the relationship fractured, because now Trinidad and Jamaica within the Caribbean is seen as more of the two leading countries in the Caribbean when it comes to many decisions taking place in the Caribbean. You understand? And for Trinidad to be supporting, to be opposed to all the other Caribbean leaders, making this entire situation become uncomfortable and, just as they say, making the relationship be fractured. Because now, instead of them come together as one, right? Because our Prime Minister, or this Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago, has a different agenda. She has chosen to support the United States, you understand? To fuel her agenda instead of standing together with CARICOM as she should have done, you understand? But we know this wouldn't happen because she is totally in support of her people. She is putting her people first. And when I say her people, not the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but her nation. Understand? That is who she put in first. And if people wake up and understand that, then they will understand what is taking place on all these islands, right? Go ahead, Officer Shah.
Yeah, so like I said, and when you watch something, you were taking place and all, even when you read the scripture and all too, when they're talking about our food talk and all too, right? And then watch something with Maduro and all too, when Maduro say, hey, who talking to this woman? Who talking to this woman? This woman is that young kind of thing, right? Something like in with that case, this should be the the president should be having these speeches with the deployment of army and all them things. She should be like the business. The Prime Minister should be like the business person running the country. She going too far with this and all answering.
That's right, and you're correct. And she literally overstepping she gone. And because and you're right, the president is in charge of Trinidad and Tobago regiment, And when to call all acts of war, that must come through the Trinidad and Tobago president. You understand? But she's stepping in front. Understand? And just like exactly like we're reading and we're saying is on point. Understand? Because she's she making a remark before she take that time to get the proper counsel. You understand where I'm from? And that is because these other nations don't know the Lord. You understand? They lack the understanding. And that's why if you could give me Psalms chapter 147 verse 19, Baba Kasha. Right? They lack the understanding of the Lord, and that is why they make these decisions that seem very irrational and idiotic, for a better word.
On this matter, or the Venice matter, and the Americans in our waters, CARICOM is already fractured. Several members went off to a meeting, the ALBA meeting. Trinidad is not a member of that regional body, ALBA, and made comments and gave statements long before I even stepped onto the plate. So we will have differences, but I think at the end we'll adhere together.
However, the Prime Minister said TNT remains committed to the CARICOM and to its CARICOM neighbours, noting that this country will work with them in every way possible. Sonolala, TTT News.
What will the scripture?
Psalms 147 and verse 19. He showed his word unto Jacob.
Right, so the Lord showed his word, understand, unto Jacob. His prophecies, understand, the things to come, he showed up to Jacob. Understand, and Jacob is the forefathers of the children of Israel. He showed that word to the nation of Israel. Go ahead.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
And he showed his statutes and his commandments unto the nation of Israel. You understand? We understand what we're supposed to do, how the Lord wants us to be on the face of the continue, Baba Kusha.
Verse 20, he had not dealt so with any nation.
That's right, but he had not dealt so with any of the other nations. You understand? They don't understand the things that the Most High gave us. You understand? As a people, to live upon the face of the earth. You understand? And that's why they're going to make the decisions. So when we pick up ourselves and run to vote for these people, right, of the other nations who run in these parties, it's obvious they're going to make very bad decisions, and they're going to make ill decisions that would be against the children of Israel. Right. You understand? Because many people, I'm sure if you go back and ask them, if you could go back and ask them on election day, you understand? Hey, you know you're going to vote for a war with Venezuela, they would have never believed that. You understand? They would have never believed this outcome would have happened. And even if there's a war or not, you understand, they would have never believed we'd have ended up in this situation that we find ourselves in. Right. And this is where the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man have to understand. Understand? We are not, understand, the average man on the street. The Lord say, give me Deuteronomy 4 and 7, Baba Kusha. Oh, sorry. Give me 4 and 7, Baba Kusha.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 7. For what nation there is so great, who had the Most High so near unto them?
That's right. What nation in the world that is so great that had the Most High near unto them? You understand? And that is talking about the nation of Israel. Go ahead.
As the Lord our God is in all things, that he will call upon him for.
Continue.
Verse 8. And what nation is there so great that had statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day?
No other nation. The things the Lord gave us, understand, that is so righteous and so great, these laws, these statutes, these commandments, no other nation was given that. Understand? No other nation. And that's what this is the things that make the nation of Israel special unto the Lord, right? So go into Deuteronomy 6 and verse that's the Slovakia. Even Deuteronomy 7 and 6, Baba Kusha. And we go close up the Baba Kusha.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
That's right. The Lord say, because the things he gave us, we are holy people unto the Lord thy God. He made us a separate people. The word holy means separate. Padash in the Hebrew. Right? Separate people. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people.
He had chosen the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, chosen us to be a special people. That is what the United States don't understand with Venezuela and Colombia and these other nations. The Lord chose us to be a special people on the face of the earth. Go ahead.
Unto himself, above all the people that are upon the face of the earth.
Above all people on the face of the earth. The people that have the bloodline from Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, we are the Lord's chosen people. Understand? We are a special people unto the Lord. Understand? And many times these nations will come up and rise up against the nation of Israel, and the Lord will have to step in. Understand? Just how they rise up against Venezuela, that is not the end of the people of Asher. That is the Lord's people. And the Lord will come in defense of his people. Right? So you black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, if it's one thing that you can take away from the class tonight, know that you are the true Jews of the Bible. Understand? Know that you are the chosen people of the Lord. And know that a place of refuge for the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man is the ICPK under command in General Hannah. In whatever city it may be, whatever country it may be, here is a place of refuge. If you're in Trinidad, the school in Trinidad is on Morris Street, light pole number 1, Morris Street, Point 14. Camp leader here is Precinct Officer Sawapiala. Right? You could call him. Right? The numbers are passing across on the screen. You can call him at 479-8286. Or you can also call the Captain Mashak at the international number 1202-701-4640. And remember, Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., right? There's the radio show here in Trinidad, 91.9 FM, right? Tune in with Precinct Officer Suwapiala and Precinct Officer Matkwaya on the radio. And with that, we'll pass the class over to Priest and Officer Shah.
Security announcement. We are the ISCPK out of 123 Street, Harlem, New York, under command in General Hannah. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes in the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a peculiar person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to another brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After that, this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is the commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means 10 in Hebrew belongs as my share, 10% of every penny, and increase the Lord give you, give through the treasury department or teacher priest fund. Free will offering for priests, non-mandatory. Whatever amount you like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation. That will be the Feast of Tabernacles. That will be the 15th day of the 7th month for a period of 8 days. So Sunday was the...
I think the next one.
So that will be the Feast of Dedication, also known as Hanukkah. That will be the 25th day of the 9th month by a space of 8 days. Right? Sunday, the 14th December, for a space of 8 days. You can find this in 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 52 to 67. Remind your accounts and patrons to check on social media such as ISPK, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISPK events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he just start wearing all black, which includes black boots, like shirt, like pants, like headband, scarf. For that we say, I imagine. Sarpon, Okadom. When our eyes and face the east, when we say Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabash Mayam, Kadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Lakoka, Taba'a, Batizaka, Haya, Aisha, Baratiza, Kawa, Haya, Hashemayam, Natan, Anawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Noah, Kabawaki Noah, Wasalak Noah, Kabawaki Noah, Wala, Tabia Noah, Basaawan, Abol, Oshai Noah, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Malakwa, Waala, Ataparat, Ilomium, Aman.
What we said in the English, our
Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debt, and we forgive our debtors, and lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thy is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Sir, let's get a teacher one Kirzinut, Imam Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Bashim Shai Bakata. Mata, Sir, let's turn and face this other line. We'll get on one Kirzinut, Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Shemaya Ton Bashim Shai. Mata, Closetness.